my favorite time of the month because I love watching these videos. They're my favorite to watch, so I'm excited to film one. And that is my June wrap up. So all the books that I read in June. I've read 9 books in June. That's pretty good for me. So yeah, I'm just gonna kind of tell you what I read, give you my thoughts, opinions, expressions, and ratings. So to start off the month, I read Taming 7. This is Gibsie and Claire's book, and I was so excited for this book because Gibsie's definitely been one of my favorites, and so I was just so excited to learn about his story. And of course, this book is just as heartbreaking as all of the other books in the series. Boys of Tommen deals with very heavy subjects, and this book was definitely no different. We're following Gibsie and Claire, and they have been best friends since they were little. And Gibsie has some trauma in his past, and that's just kind of coming to the surface in this book. And so we really get to learn about why Gibsie is Gibsie, and then we also get to see how Claire supports Gibsie. And it's just a really beautiful story. So I really liked this book. I rated it a 4.5. I really liked Gibsie's story. I felt like Claire's story was a little bit like lacking. And also some of the things that she did kind of make me a little frustrated, a little angry. But I still really enjoyed this book. I'm so scared to read Releasing 10. So yeah. Next, I read What We Keep by Jennifer Milliken. This book has been on my TBR for a minute, and it was just one of those books that like somebody said was good and I bought it immediately and I had no idea what it was about. It was a really unique story, which I really enjoyed. It's about a firefighter, and so that was fire. That was fun. It's about Avery and Gabriel. So like I said, Gabriel is a firefighter and Avery is in school. And then something happens at the very beginning where they meet each other, they start dating, and it's also really interesting. The way that this story is told feels so real. Like when I finished this story, I was like, wait, is this book real? Is this based on true events? It's not, but that's how it felt like. And we kind of get past present timelines and also second chance romance. Like you kind of get to see what happened to make things wrong, and then you don't know if it's going to work out in the end. And I really liked the not knowing part, but I thought that this was a really beautiful story, and yeah, I'm really glad I finally picked it up. I rated this book 5 stars. I've said this many times. I rate based on if I enjoyed it, if I had fun, and I did, and I thought that this storyline was really interesting and unique, and so for that reason I gave it 5 stars. Next, I read the Grip Trilogy by Kennedy Ryan. This is actually 3 books right here. It contains Flow, Grip, and Still. This is one of those books too that's been on my TBR for a minute, and I just picked it up because somebody said it was good, and I was like, okay, I had no idea what it was about. That's kind of how I go into all my books, and I'm so glad I picked this up. This is probably going to be one of my favorite reads of the year, if I'm being honest. It was really good, really eye-opening. It talks about interracial relationships. It talks about race, but on both sides of that, and I thought it was really beautiful. I think the way that Kennedy Ryan writes is amazing. This follows Grip and Bristol, and Bristol comes from a family with a lot of money, and all of her family is involved in the music industry of some sort, and they all have these musical talents, but Bristol does not. So she wants to go the business side. And also something happened with her brother, and they haven't spoken in a while, and so she wants to go see him, so she flies out to see him, but her brother is not there to pick her up, but Grip is. So Grip picks her up from the airport. They get to talking. They realize they have a lot in common. They realize that they don't see eye to eye on some things, but they both respect each other's opinions. And I thought that that was really beautiful to see. And then at the end of that trip, something ends up going wrong. And so Bristol and Grip don't speak to each other. Bristol does end up moving back to be closer to her brother, so Grip is in her life, and then you kind of just see them doing life together, but not in a romantic way. So they kind of have to deal with that, and I really enjoyed the music aspect of this trilogy. I love music, and so seeing behind the scenes was something that was really fascinating to me. But yes, I believe I rated Flow is a novella, so I believe I rated Flow like 4 stars, and then Grip was 5 stars, and then Still was 4.5. So I really enjoyed this trilogy and would recommend. You Killed Me First by John Mars. This is a thriller, and honestly, this book was not on my radar at all, but my mom had bought it on Audible, and we share an Audible account, and she was like, you have to read this, it's really good. and I listened to it in one sitting. So that's how I am with all thrillers though. Like I don't read a lot, but I don't know why, because every time I read a thriller or listen to a thriller, I listen or read it in one sitting and I can't put it down, and that was no exception. I have never read a thriller like this. There were so many twists and turns that got me, and I really enjoyed that. I was like, wait, what? Like I was like, oh, I guessed that, I knew that, and then I was like, wait, no, there was just so many. So it was really entertaining. This book starts off with somebody being in a fire, and they're kind of confused and disoriented and don't really know what's going on. They're screaming for help, and then that chapter ends, and then we just cut to 3 different women's stories, and they're all different, and we don't really know how they connect. They're kind of strange, and you're like, oh, I don't like this person, I like this person. It's just very 3 different personalities for sure. And so we're following those 3 storylines, and you're trying to figure out who is in this fire, what is going on, and how did we get there. But it's pretty fast paced, and I really enjoyed it. I rated this 5 stars. For me, if a thriller thrills me, if you will, if a thriller thrills, gets 5 stars, and I was considered thrilled and shocked, so I really liked this too. And last we have the first 3 books in the Windy City series by Liz Tomford. I've kind of talked about these books on my channel a lot, so I'll just kind of briefly give my thoughts and opinions. But first we have Mile High, and Mile High I actually started probably 6 months ago, and I got 50% of the way through. I was like pushing myself to read it. I really wasn't enjoying it that much. I ended up finishing it this month, obviously. All of the Windy City series are each sports romance. So this one follows Xander and Stevie, and Xander is a hockey player and Stevie is a flight attendant for the plane that the team flies to each game. Yeah. So that's kind of how they meet. I don't know, for me, I don't love the way Xander speaks sometimes about women, so that kind of put me off. I don't know. There's also a lot of spice, which once again, just not for me. I will say this, what I enjoyed about this story is the body positivity that was represented in this very well, and also the setup for the other characters' books I really enjoyed. So yeah, for this I rated it a 3 stars. So yeah, but also, I don't know, I feel like I would recommend it just because I love these other books so much. But yeah. Next we have The Right Move, and I love this book so much. This is about Ryan and Indy, and Ryan is a basketball player, and Indy has had a little rough patch going on in her life. She is actually best friends with Stevie from our other book, and she's also a flight attendant with her, and she needs a place to live because something has happened. And like I said, she's just kind of going through a rough patch, and Stevie's like, you should live with my brother because I'm moving out. And Ryan's like, no. So you can imagine where that goes. But I really love both of these characters so much. I also really loved seeing Stevie and Xander from Mile High in this book, which I think is interesting because I didn't love them in Mile High, but I love them in the rest of the books. There's a lot of fun tropes in here, and I really enjoyed that. This book is also shorter, and I felt like I just flew through this book. I think I literally read it in 2 days. I really enjoyed this, 5 stars. Yeah. Okay, and then we have Caught Up, and this is about Kai and Miller. And Kai is a baseball player, and Miller is a famous chef. Kai also is a single dad, and he fires all of his nannies because none of them are good enough for his son. And so who better to be a love interest than our gal Miller? And Miller is off for the summer, so she's like, I will follow the team and I will be a nanny. Love interest, question mark, maybe. But I did enjoy this book. There were a few things that I didn't love. Miller wasn't my favorite FMC. She's very confident and bold, which I love, and if that's you, freaking go off. But I think for me, it was like kind of jarring, which is like so messed up, and I think that that's like deep issues in me. You know what I mean? Like something to do with patriarchy is messing up my brain in here. But I don't know why I didn't necessarily enjoy that. But I will say I loved the way Miller interacted with Kai's son. I loved the way Kai interacted with his son and just everybody in the story. I loved seeing all of our past characters in this book, and I think that was my favorite part of this book, which probably isn't the best. It's supposed to be about Kai and Miller's story, but I did enjoy. I am going to continue on, and yeah, I rated this book 3.5 stars. Those are the 9 books that I read in June. I hope I kind of gave a good summary of everything. Like, since I'm new to this, I literally don't know what I'm doing, so I don't know if I'm doing a terrible job, but I'm trying. Tell me what your favorite book y'all read last month in the comments. I would love to know what y'all are reading. If you have any recommendations I should read for next month, I'm all ears. I hope you have the bestest day ever, and I love each and every one of y'all that watch my videos. It means the world to me. I love y'all so much.